A massive migrant caravan is winding its way towards the U.S., firing up rhetoric and reigniting arguments about immigration and border security.
This is a humanitarian crisis.
But the solution that Trump has come up with is a good one.
But wait, have there been caravans before this? And why is the spotlight on this one? We have the facts. In Central American countries like Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, political instability, violence, and poverty has skyrocketed in recent years, prompting many people to flee when they can't find opportunities, protection, or even justice from their local governments or police. But the trek north can be full of bandits, sex trafficking, violent gangs, government corruption, and extortion. So people will seek safety in numbers, hence caravans. The earliest signs of migrant caravans took place in the 1980s during the Central American crisis with countries like Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Since then, walks like these have occurred throughout Central and South America for years, and many of them aren't necessarily aiming for the US border. Some, like caravans of mothers of missing migrants, has happened annually. We spoke to Dr. Wendy Vogt, author of Lives in Transit, Violence and Intimacy of the Migrant Journey, who joined the caravan of mothers of missing migrants back in 2009.
Over the past decade, an estimated 70,000 Central Americans have gone missing in Mexico during their journeys. And I walked alongside mothers, parents, brothers who were retracing the steps of their children and speaking out against the violence that Central Americans experience in Mexico.
According to experts, caravans from Central America started to emerge during the Obama administration due to the increase of militarization in Mexico, which made it more dangerous to cross alone. But most groups dwindle or split up, breaking off at different destinations. The last big caravan that arrived in spring 2018 from southern Mexico had about 1,500 people in it. Only about 400 were left by the time it arrived at the US border. Those who made it presented themselves at the border and asked for asylum, which grants a person persecuted by one's own country protection to live in another country. Most of them met the necessary standard of credible fear and were legally allowed to enter the country. The current migrant caravan started October 12th with a group of just over 100 people from Honduras, also known as the murder capital of the world. Reports estimate the caravan has swelled to 7,000 people, including 2,300 children. Since crossing into Mexico, their pace is set at 23 miles a day.
In the wake of this amazing solidarity that everyday people in Mexico are showing to people in the caravan, it's still extremely perilous. There are young children, people who are sick. So it's been a very difficult journey, even though we have seen this immense support and solidarity from everyday people.
But in a midterm election year with President Trump intent on keeping immigration policy at the forefront of the national debate, the group has attracted a lot of attention.
Some people call it an invasion. It's like an invasion. But I will tell you this, anybody throwing stones, rocks, like they did to Mexico and the Mexican military, Mexican police, where they badly hurt police and soldiers of Mexico, we will consider that a firearm.
President Trump announced plans to deploy 5,200 active duty troops to the border, joining 2,100 National Guard troops sent earlier this year.
I think the president has made it clear that border security is national security.
That's in addition to Border Patrol, which is the biggest law enforcement agency in the country with almost 60,000 employees. And this isn't the first time additional troops have been sent to the border. In 2006, President George W. Bush sent 6,000 National Guard troops to the border as part of his call for higher numbers of Border Patrol agents. And in 2010, President Obama sent up to 1,200 troops to help with intelligent operations so Border Patrol could focus on law enforcement. As for this round, General Terrence O'Shaughnessy, commander of the U.S. Northern Command, said the most recent troop deployments, which will include armed military units, could be part of what might become a longer strategy.
I don't think that the American dream is what's driving the caravan. I think it's more the necessity of fleeing violence back home. It's more of being pushed out rather than the pull of the American dream.